Welcome
to another episode of Drive Into the Res edition.
Yes, Driving to the Res edition.
We're actually on our way to the Res.
Yes, with
Inelia.
And Larry.
I get it right order.
Right order or wrong order?
Correct order.
Correct order?
Yes.
We can take turns, honey.
Whoever remembers first.
So, we were thinking about talking about triggers and how triggers can be used to manipulate people.
Not only how they can be used, but the fact is they are.
They are being used to manipulate people.
Yes, they're quite effective. Was about 2 weeks or 2 years ago. I think it was 2 days ago. Which was it, honey?
For what?
Listening to Triggered.
Oh, I think it was 2 days ago.
Okay, 2 days ago, we were listening to a podcast. I know it seems strange. It was a podcast by Don Trump Jr. on Father's Day. And guess who he was interviewing?
His father.
His dad, Don Trump Sr., who's also a junior. And the title of his podcast is Triggered.
Triggered.
The reason we actually listened to it was because there was a little bit of clickbait from one of the UFO places. Facebook page or an email or something. And it said, Don Trump Jr. asked his dad about Roswell on Father's Day, and his dad confirmed they have secrets that they're withholding. So you know, I got to look.
We had to listen to 2 freaking hours.
It wasn't 2 hours. It felt like 2 days or 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was
I think
a
it
very
was
long
20
one.
minutes.
Was it? It felt like 2 hours, man. It really did.
But it wasn't, because we had to wait through some weird stuff first. But at the end, that was a bit of a letdown.
Well, I kind of suspected that it was a big ado about nothing.
There was a big do about nothing, because it sounded like he was talking about Roswell like it was not a place that a UFO crashed that they recovered things from. Like Roswell was the secret place that they were going to open up. I mean, that was like total stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I was not impressed. But what I did get from the entire thing is that Triggered as a title for the podcast was also a good job description.
Yes. The whole, from the very inception of Trump becoming a candidate, right back whenever it was, the first set of votes came in, or whatever's, was a trigger, as a divide and conquer trigger.
Yeah.
People triggered all for Trump, and people triggered all against Trump. Right,
all kind of a trigger that would put wife and husband fighting with each other, entire families are fighting with each other. It was really good, really effective, I'm not going to use the word good, and a very effective trigger.
Yes.
It hasn't stopped being a very effective trigger.
Yeah. And,
all that's really changed, if anything, is that the number of things that are effective triggers have probably increased.
Yes. Going to the store is a trigger these days.
I get triggered driving home for no reason other than some fella somewhere said, I gotta do something. And I'm like, oh yeah, I ain't doing that.
What are we talking about?
Oh, some governor said I had to wear a face mask everywhere I go.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And so that was like an instant trigger, right?
Yeah, it was an instant trigger.
It's an instant trigger for the people who don't want to wear them, and an instant trigger for the ones who do want to wear them. Mm-hmm. Both sides have their completely, fully bolstered set of absolute truths and facts.
Yes.
Completely support their choice.
Yes.
Without any doubt whatsoever.
Yeah. Evidence, what was that called?
Evidence to support their reality exists in spades.
Mm-hmm. But it's something biased. Confirmation bias, isn't it?
There is a confirmation bias. Whatever it is that you believe. You will definitely find facts to confirm it.
Yeah.
And the facts that don't confirm it, you will dismiss as made up. Well, they call it fake news.
Right. Yeah.
Right. No level of proof can seem to penetrate someone in a state of triggered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Triggered means everything is closed off from coming in.
Yeah.
And we're all, I'm pretty sure most all of us have triggers.
Yeah. So wasn't it David Icke I can't remember who it was that was talking about even using the word triggered and triggers, mentioning that a few years ago it wasn't a word that was used at all. I don't even remember when I started using it, but I started using it a long time ago. And they were talking about MK Ultra and how the word trigger was actually used in the MK Ultra and like organizations to denote a trigger word that will activate the person who's been programmed to do something. So it's a trigger. So you turn them on. It's like a gun, you know. You turn them on to do that thing, and then when the trigger is gone, then they don't remember anything, and they don't remember having done anything.
Oh.
Assassinations or whatever.
Trigger phrase or trigger word.
Yeah. So it's like a trigger was used as a word to denote the sentence and actions and things that a person would do to trigger that person onto the mission, right?
We watched a movie that had that in it. I think it's called MK Ultra.
And yeah, so somebody was talking about it. Maybe it wasn't David Icke, maybe it was something else. But they were talking about how interesting it is that that word is coming into popular culture and used a lot these days. You know, the person very clearly will say, I'm triggered right now. And I teach people to say, when they get triggered,
yeah.
Hey, I'm triggered right now, so I'm not going to have that conversation until I calm down.
Right.
And apparently wasn't a broadly used word until very recently. And now, I mean, when I was using it, nobody was using it. And now it seems that everybody's using it, right?
And I'm sure everybody's memory is they've always used it.
Uh-huh. And now the Trump boy has a podcast called Triggered. I mean, how more mainstream are you going to get, right?
Yeah.
So going back to the ET question, seeing as we talked about triggers, unless there's something more that you want to talk about triggers.
Well, yeah, I don't never like leaving triggers out in the open. Well, what do you do when you find that you're triggered? Mm-hmm. First of all, this triggered me. So now what do you do? Mm-hmm. Acknowledge a few things, right? First of all, you can't hear anymore.
Right.
Know that you're closed off from any more inputs. Mm-hmm. You're triggered.
Know that you're going to go into defense.
You're probably going to go into defense or attack to defend your position, mm-hmm. whatever it might be. And anyone who has a position different than the one that's triggered you is probably going to be the target, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to be probably triggered as well.
Yeah.
So you have a classic rules of engagement situation, mm-hmm. of low frequency engagement, yes. which is agreement and two positions that are opposite and strongly held.
Yes.
So you have an agreement to have a low frequency engagement.
Yeah.
And as high frequency beings who will be listening to this, right? Anything that lures you into low frequency engagements is a distraction.
Yeah, it's an invitation to feed the low frequency reality.
Yes.
On the planet.
Yes. Well, none of us are immune to this. Mm-mm. At least nobody I've met.
I haven't met anybody who's immune to it.
And so what do you do when you find that you're triggered, or you have a open door to being triggered through some avenue? What do you do about that? How do you close that open door?
Well, personally, the first thing that I do is pause and acknowledge that I'm triggered, right? Acknowledge that my sense of high-frequency engagement or thought or openness to other opinions or anything is closed, right? I acknowledge this, I'm triggered. And then I remove myself from the situation because it's not going to help. Even if it's saying, hey, I can't discuss this right now because I'm triggered, even that, is good enough really as a movement back. Obviously, the other person's triggered, they might take offense that you're triggered, and then it's just going to go downhill from there. Right? They don't leave you alone. But I found that with the most people that I interact with, they respond very positively if I say that. They go, oh, okay.
And they give you some space.
They give you space, yeah. So that's what do you do?
Well, since I'm a groom of Gaia, I just stride right into my righteousness.
You
and I sit comfortably in righteousness, and know for certain that if I'm just patient enough, everyone else will finally come to their senses. Mm-hmm. And so I just try to wait it out.
Okay, how does that work for you? Is it working out for you?
Well, I'm still waiting. So I can't say that it's worked yet. But that's the whole point of waiting, is waiting until it works. Okay. It might be a while.
Might be a while, huh?
It might be a while. But I've got confidence that at some point it's going to work out. In the meantime, how do you handle what's triggering? We'll just use the real world. What's triggering me right now is this face mask thing, because the evidence that I found supports both sides of the coin, but the evidence also, because it supports both sides of the coin, contradicts itself repeatedly. Mm-hmm. And the very foundational reason that we're supposed to be doing these things, I find patently false to begin with. Mm-hmm. So everything that comes from it feels like fruits of the poison tree, so to speak.
Yeah.
And not for the purpose that they're supposed or saying they are, but at the same time, when I look around, while I don't see people falling over on the side of the road, which would be pretty much what a pandemic would be, like everywhere you look, there's people that are sick and dying. I haven't seen it. I haven't found anywhere where it's true. I've seen it where they pretend it's true or they say it's true, but then when you investigate, you find that it's not actually as they're saying it is. They're kind of like making it a bigger thing than it is.
You have an example of that, don't you?
Well, yeah, we had the thing in the hospital in Spokane where they were out of hospital beds. And when I looked it up, it was the emergency room that had 12 beds, one of them, or 11 beds, and 10 of them were full, and they put all the coronavirus patients in the ER. And they had 200 beds in their hospital, but they weren't able to even use those beds because they didn't have the staff for it, because the staff was laid off. So it's like, our hospital is overwhelmed. Well, yes, but it's not because there's 10,000 people dying of coronavirus. It's because they only have 10 beds. So it's a bit misleading, Mm-hmm. And because of that, now the whole state has to wear a face mask. When the governor himself isn't wearing a stupid face mask. Except for when he's taking pictures.
Well, I came up with regards to California. Yeah. Also was that governors are not dictators. They can't tell you what to do. There's a procedure, right?
Right.
Voting of the people and everything else.
And there's courts.
There's courts and
courts that determine whether it's a legal order or not. And there's legislatures that confirm it or make it. And there's emergency orders. And there's health officers. And
emergency only lasts 30 days, doesn't it?
Yeah, with special powers and times of emergency and how long is an emergency. It's like when you start digging in it, you find most of the people, including the people who are making up this stuff, have such a hopelessly complicated set of laws and rules and orders around how to do it. They basically just do whatever they want, and then you're going to have to prove it true or false later, almost like,
Yeah.
You got to sue them in order to stop them. So you get in this big catch-22, and it's exactly what triggered. The definition of triggered is it's a open door to negative engagements.
Right. So what are you going to do about this mask situation?
What do you do about the mask situation? Because like in Nia Bay right now, I see a good portion of people don't wear masks and a good portion of people do wear masks. I see in Squim good portion of people are wearing masks, and not very many not. And I see in Port Angeles, not very many people are wearing masks, and some of them are. So none of those places do I see a whole bunch of people falling over dead from either one, wearing a mask or not. I don't see a whole lot of people sick in swim because they're wearing masks, and I don't see a lot of people not sick in PA because they're not wearing masks. So I can't confirm a truth or a reality one way or the other based on anything that I can observe. Everything is only as I've been able to research, as averages and this and that's. But it's all just a root of my personal trigger over the thing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how to deal with it. That's why I'm asking you. Just as long as the answer involves not wearing a mask, I'll be fine. Oh my gosh. See the problem?
Yeah.
I know for a fact I won't be in any harm for wearing a mask. I know for a fact I won't be in any harm for not wearing a mask. I know for a fact that if I want to exit this planet for a disease reason, doesn't matter if you're wearing a mask or not wearing a mask.
You're gonna die, man.
If I want to suffer, doesn't matter if I'm wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. If somebody else wants to suffer, doesn't matter if I'm wearing a mask or not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
When it comes to this level of engagement. But when it comes to following directives, following orders from people who I don't consent to be ordering me around, it's a different question, right? It's not so much because the governor said it. I don't care if the governor said or didn't say it. Right?
Yeah.
Who is he? He's a guy, got elected by a bunch of people, says stuff. Sure. Some people follow it, some people don't. Some sheriffs say, he's a bunch of bullshit and ain't listening to nothing he says. We ain't enforcing it at all. And some sheriffs say, if you ain't wearing it, we're going to arrest you, probably beat you to death too.
Especially if you're black, you're definitely going to get beat to death.
Unless you're in Oregon, you don't have to wear one.
Oh my God, Oregon. Tell us about that. That's
Oregon
racist.
County.
Oh my God.
You don't have to wear a mask if you're black.
You don't have to wear a mask if you're black in Oregon because...
Oregon County or Oregon City, somewhere like that.
Because...
I didn't completely verify it.
Okay.
But that's what I read.
Alright. It might be untrue.
It might be just a trigger.
It might be just a trigger. Yeah.
Oh, look at the beautiful eagle.
Wow, there's an eagle over the ocean.
Eating something right now. He just fell in the ocean.
Oh, wow.
What did he get?
Nothing. It got away.
False alarm. Sometimes when we get triggered, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Redirect.
We look at something beautiful like an eagle.
Yes.
Over the
Gaia
ocean.
always has something to give you, to help you, support your high frequency reality. So, speaking of which, what were we talking about?
I don't remember.
Can't remember. Are you going to talk about aliens or something?
Yeah, let's talk about aliens. Very well then, let's talk about aliens.
Very well, let's talk about aliens. Why were we going to talk about aliens?
Because
what
of
about aliens?
the whole Roswell thing.
The Roswell thing with Triggered?
Yeah.
Oh no, we're back to Triggered again?
Yeah, we're back to Triggered again.
So yeah, he did say there was secret stuff about Roswell that he wasn't sure if he's going to let anybody know about. But I think he's just pulling our legs right now.
Yeah.
Because I just don't believe that he said that because it was true. I think he just said that because he thought it sounded good.
Yeah.
Which he has said that he does.
Yeah.
It didn't sound that good because it wasn't like, wasn't what I wanted. It didn't trigger me though. It's like,
That's
oh man, really?
I kind of expected that.
I totally expected it too. I was like, I'm going to listen to this. So what does it really say? Because this seems like clickbait to me.
It's not
And
say anything.
when they said that, Roswell stuff, it was at the very freaking end.
It was indeed the very, very end, the last minute or so.
And they were trying to get views on that video because that's a president video with the son of the president on his podcast. You expected to have a lot of views, and he didn't have hardly any.
I know.
Yep, pretty funny.
Yeah, that's quite surprising, huh?
I was shocked. I've seen more views from kittens licking milk.
We'll definitely have more views on kittens, cute kittens.
Well, you don't get too triggered with those either.
So aliens, what do you think about aliens, honey?
I don't know.
Well, we were reading a book, weren't we?
Right. We were reading a book from the Bradshaw Ranch.
Yes.
And they had, well, we've only gotten to chapter 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as black and white as, I looked out the window and there was 4 small grays in tan suits walking by the window who just got out of their spaceship that landed in the backyard. Doesn't get more clearer than that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went outside to look at them, they went invisible.
Yeah.
But I could just make out their outline, but I couldn't see them anymore because they were like less visible. I told them that they had to go away, and they just went a little further away.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What do you say about that?
Well, I have a few questions for our audience too, okay? And one of the questions would be, if you want to know where to answer these questions, you can go to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/user/Inelia Benz channel.
I think you just type Inelia Benz in.
Yeah, if you type Inelia Benz on YouTube, you'll find me.
Yeah.
You can answer there, or you can answer. Yeah, I think that's
On
the
this
best place.
podcast episode, right?
Yeah, because we're gonna post it on YouTube too.
Okay.
So one of the things that interests me about the whole UFO thing, we do have people are still talking about what's it called, that word? Not revelation.
Apocalypse?
No. Disclosure.
Disclosure.
Yeah. And when they mean disclosure, they mean the governments around the planet, especially the US government, being officially saying, yes, we have ETs and this is one of them. His name's John and he lives in Oregon, right?
And we have made a deal with him, and he's given us technology in exchange for whatever it is they wanted.
Right.
Permission to do, or like they needed it, or whatever.
Right. So that's what people mean by disclosure. But the fact is that there's been people documenting and having proof and talking about alien visitations and contact for decades, if not for hundreds of years.
I think thousands of years is more accurate, and maybe even
Yeah, because there's art, like really, really old art, religious art with UFOs on them. And you can't say that's not a UFO because it's like a flying saucer on
And there's tribes whose complete historical memory includes
UFOs.
star people and UFOs, and that's thousands of years old.
Mm-hmm.
Even tens of thousands.
So
a lot,
right? And so this disclosure thing, or giving away to authority to the government and stuff like that, it's really interesting to me. And my question is, do you need it? Do you need a government which we can't even trust to tell us anything real or accurate about aliens?
Yes.
You can't trust them?
No, you can't.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I do need them to tell me.
You need them to tell you?
Yes. But I guess they did already, so...
Yeah,
I guess what else do you need? Because they just said it. They said, yep, those videos are real. Nope, that's not us flying them. Nope, we have no idea how they can fly like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they're going way too fast for a human to be in it. So, we're not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Right. So they already did that. They also... if ET files or UFO files have been disclosed by the CIA for decades now, isn't it?
Yeah. And they've come out that, yes, we did the Blue Book thing or whatever that was to get people to stop looking into this stuff. It was
They've admitted all those things.
It's all made up. It was a design program to get people off the track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they pretty much, all that stuff's admitted.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't count as disclosure, right? Because Trump says he's got secrets about Roswell and he ain't sharing it. But he's thinking about it.
Right.
So I guess they were really asking is, we want to know what the government's involvement with UFOs is. and aliens? And have they made any deals? And if so, with who?
So-
and what are the terms of this agreement?
Here's the thing, though.
That's what I want to know.
If it takes a president to say it, Obama already did.
Yeah, he did.
He giggled about it, but he did it.
I can't tell you. I would. What did he say? I don't remember how he said it, but it was something along the lines of, I would tell you.
No, he said, yeah, there are, but I'm not allowed to
Yes,
tell you
they are,
about
but
it.
I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he said. I guess that is about as straight an answer as you can get.
Exactly.
So now what?
So now what?
Well,
I think to me what's more interesting about ETs is our personal connection with them.
right.
That's what's more important or interesting to me. And this is a
Individual
conversation that
personal
Larry and I have been
connection.
having for years now. When he said, let's have first contact, right? Like, whoa. Are you beeping?
Yeah.
You beeping at the ETs?
Yes,
That
like
scared
here,
me.
we're here. Startled me too. Like, whew.
So we had this conversation. Do you remember the conversation, honey?
Yeah, ish.
Ish.
Yeah,
So the
ish.
conversation went something like this. Larry said, hey, I want us to have direct contact, personal contact with ETs, extraterrestrials.
And I
and
want
I
to
said-
remember it.
You want to remember it?
And I want to remember it.
Yeah, so you want to remember it after the
After it
contact.
happened.
Yeah,
I
after
wanna
having the
have-
contact.
I don't-
I want to remember it.
And I don't want to have to go get hypnotized to remember it.
No. And I said, well, that's very good, very nice, but why? What is your reason for having this contact? And you answered,
I don't know why. I think it's interesting and cool.
right. So
And I want to see their ship. I'm just curious.
I'm curious,
And I want to be right.
and I want to be right.
That there are aliens and they fly
Yeah.
around in ships and we just haven't seen them. I want to be right. I want proof that I'm right. And I want to see what their ship looks like. And I want to know that all of the things that I've read that I haven't had a personal experience of are factual.
Right, exactly.
I want to truth it
Yeah.
at a physical level,
Uh-huh.
not just a research level.
And then I answered, well, that's very good. That's a good answer. That's your side of it.
Yep.
What's it in it for them?
Well, I cook a really good spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
They probably have never had spaghetti. And I don't know what kind of pets they have, but we have, well, mean pets. So maybe the little puppy might be interesting for them to play with, I guess.
We have puppies.
I have a puppy. That's good bait usually.
Yes, we have puppies, aliens. Come
I
over.
have a
come
one
on.
wheel. We can go for a
have
cruise
kittens.
or one wheel. I have an electric bike.
Mhm.
I have a pedal bike.
Mhm.
I have lots of things to share. I have some pretty cool rocks.
A couple of boats.
Boats. I mean, adventures and experiences. What I have
pretty
is to
good
share with
stuff
them
to share.
experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good trade.
Experiences. Yeah.
You,
So-
you show me your reel and I'll tell you all kinds of fun stories
Mhm.
and share experience. That's a good trade.
Yeah, it is a good trade. So that trade has to be agreed upon, right?
Yeah.
And accepted, and also the agreement that it's okay for your physical body to see UFOs and everything else too.
Yeah.
And then you will orchestrate that meeting. You will. I guaranteed. You will guarantee. I guarantee that you will orchestrate meeting with ETs at a physical level that you will remember. But your why has to be strong enough. And then, it's like one of those things. And sometimes people have these experiences and they don't even know why. They've never even thought about it or talked about it or even thought about aliens, and boom, they have first-hand experiences that they remember and everything else, right?
Yep.
So that's
Also,
higher self decisions and stuff too.
yeah, the higher self consequences of the interaction. How does that change your life and what you were on track to do that you will no longer be on track to do? How is this going to affect you? In what way?
In any way
Is
or
it supportive of what you're here to do?
Right.
Or is it not?
Exactly, yeah. So that's another question
That's
too.
another level of I don't know.
Yeah, another thing to question when you want to have that physical contact, and then
Because we might just all of a sudden start going to all the UFO conventions and talking for an hour to everyone about our experience.
yeah,
And that ain't maybe what we're here to do.
maybe. If you want to meet aliens, go to UFO conventions. They always hang out there.
Guess how many UFO conventions I've been to?
How many?
I'm 0.
Oh my gosh, well.
No, that's a bit telling.
Yeah, that's telling. That's telling. But here we are at the res.
Made it to the res. No aliens got us. Time's just right. We didn't have any missing time.
And no memories of aliens.
No, we have a boat. We have water. They could land on the water behind us at night. They could check it out. We have a shaman shack. They could land in the field. Nobody would notice. Nobody would be wiser. We haven't done that. So I'm going to say that a direct meeting would point us in a direction different than the one that we need right now.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Otherwise, there's damn straight there would have been some aliens touched ground.
Yes.
There was no excuse for it not to. Okay. Good enough.
Right, boys and girls, go to ineliabenz.com for my hundreds of articles, data, information, and free tools, and also classes and courses that are readily available and affordable for you there. Go to Walk With Me Now to join your tribe and hang out with high-frequency individuals, including Larry and me.
Oh, yes. We can talk about this stuff.
Go to iBenzacademy.com if you want to be trained formally or get some really badass training for dealing with stuff. We have the emergency series still on sale there. So, talk to you guys soon.
Welcome to the res.
Welcome to the res.
We've made it.
We made it.